Hello, and thank you for attending this session of Pagination by Numbers, using square inch analysis as a guide. My name is Lauren Ackerman, and I'm with J. Schmidt & Associates, and we're a boutique direct marketing agency offering new thinking for cross-channel marketers, specializing in strategy, branding, design, and analytics. In this session, I'll talk through what catalog pagination is and how to use a square inch analysis to guide your decisions. Let's start with some definitions. Square inch analysis, or squinch, is, at its most basic level, an analytical tool that measures space versus profitability in a catalog. It can be used to guide page count and space allocation for categories and products. And what my focus will be on today is how to use that intelligence to inform your catalog pagination. Pagination is a plan for organizing a catalog that defines first where product categories are placed in the catalog, and second, at a finer level, where products are placed on the page. Before you can begin pagination, it takes a little bit of preparation. Begin with the data that's going to inform your pagination, your squinch. First, determine if you're at the right page count, and you start that process by identifying, at a category level, winners and losers. A winner is defined by a positive ratio of contribution to space. For example, a winning category represents 29% of the space in the catalog while contributing 41% to overall sales. Conversely, a loser is the opposite, a negative ratio of sales to space. For example, a loser might take up 17% of the space in the catalog, but only 9% contribution. But how do you use this data? The answer? The 70% rule. The 70% rule is a fantastic benchmark for deciding whether to cut or add pages for your catalog overall and for each category. It's based around the notion that in a successful catalog model, 70% of the categories are winners. So you can use that 70% as a baseline, and depending if your measurements fall above or below that line, you can determine whether you need to cut or add pages. In other words, if more than 70% of your categories are defined as winners, meaning they contribute more in sales than the space allocated to them, then you have room to grow. And if you fall below that 70% benchmark, then you should shrink your page count. Now, what I just described will help you decide to scale your overall page count up or down, but you could also apply that same principle to products within a category. You can identify each product within a category as a winner or loser, and then see where the category falls in that 70% rule to decide whether to shrink or grow that category within the catalog. So that's one way to make educated decisions about your page count and the size of your categories using square inch analysis data. Let's move on to pagination. Catalog pagination is a plan for organizing a catalog that defines first where product categories are placed in the catalog, that's macro pagination, and second, where products are placed on the page, that's micro pagination. In other words, macro pagination is at a category level, and it defines where things fit overall in the catalog flow and in what order, and micro pagination is at a product level and defines where things fit within the category and on the page. Now we must remember that pagination is a blend of analytics and creative. The idea here would be that the numbers are a good place to start, but also we have to take a step back to make sure that the organization makes sense. And most importantly, you can't neglect to incorporate themes that draw the user into the page. And I'll go into more detail on themes a little later. The basic principle behind catalog pagination is give them more of what they're looking for. How do we do that? By placing the best-selling categories in the most prominent positions throughout the book, and then by placing best-selling products in on-the-page hotspots. The steps to catalog pagination are first, identify themes, second, macro pagination, and third, micro pagination. Let's start with themes. Themes are visual stories told on the catalog page by pulling together products from different categories that have something in common. And you can create themes with color, geography, a common purpose, and they're used to create drama and stopping power and vary the pacing. And the best way I can illustrate this is with some examples. This is an example of a themed spread where we created a story based on a color theme, or more specifically, a stripe. On this spread we have drapes, tiebacks, throw pillows, and shower curtains, which are from different categories but all share this common aesthetic. We conveyed the theme with a left border, a stylized text box, and a headline all calling out the stripe theme. This example is another great color story. In this spread, we pulled together different products, ornaments, necklaces, and mugs, with a similar vibrant color palette and centered the messaging around gifting. The theme of this spread is geography. In other words, all the products on this page were made in the same village in Peru. So we devoted some space at the top of the page to include a graphic and quite literally tell the story of the theme. Once you've identified themes that make sense within the context of your brand and your catalog, then you can move on to macro pagination. The first step toward creating an effective macro pagination is understanding where the hotspots are. So let's assume this bar represents all the pages of your catalog. The left side of the bar is the front cover, the right side of the bar is the back cover, and I've labeled the number 1, 2, and 3 hotspots. The most important hotspot is the front cover, opening spread, and first few pages. The second most important hotspot is the back cover. This surprises a lot of people, but it's prime placement for best-selling categories because 30% of shoppers start by flipping to the back of the catalog. This hotspot includes the back cover, inside back cover, and the few pages immediately surrounding it. The third hotspot is the middle of the catalog, which is where a lot of catalogers used to place bind and order forms. Now, bind and order forms aren't as common, but a lot of catalogers still put important ordering information here, so customers are trained to look for it. In addition, in a saddle-stitched catalog, the pages tend to fall open to this spot. So that's why we consider this to be a third hotspot. The areas in between hotspots, which are yellow on the bar, are considered valleys, and these are a good place for moderately performing or untested categories. These valleys become more pronounced the higher your page count, and in smaller catalogs, these valleys are nearly non-existent. But this is the organization that should guide your pagination when you're deciding what order to put your categories in. Now that you're familiar with hotspots, you're ready to put pencil to paper, so to speak, and begin macro pagination. Different people use different methods. Some people make lists, some draw on a whiteboard. I draw boxes in PowerPoint to represent each page of the catalog, and it looks like this. I'm going to leave the front and back covers blank for now and return to them a little later. Make sure you have a list of every category that will need space in the catalog, including any themes, branding elements, or editorial. To begin the process, you can take a paint by numbers approach. Place your number 1 best-selling category and your number 1 hotspot in the front of the catalog, then take your number 2 selling category and place it in your second biggest hotspot in the back of the catalog. Then fill in the remaining pages with your middle and lower performing categories. This is a good way to get the macro pagination process started, but once you've made an initial list, review it and ask yourself, does it make sense? The numbers are a great place to start, but it's equally important that the organization doesn't feel disjointed. Does it make sense to have activewear follow sleepwear? Does it make sense to have shoes follow shirts? If not, reorganize as necessary. It's more important for the catalog organization to feel natural than to rigidly follow wherever the numbers take you. Once you've outlined a macro pagination and incorporated themes, you're ready for micro pagination. And just as macro pagination begins with an understanding of hotspots as they relate to the overall organization, micro pagination begins with an understanding of hotspots on the page. You'll also need sales data to help you choose best-selling heroes that deserve additional space. The chart on the left is a typical catalog shopper's eye flow. You can see that the primary hotspot is at the top of the right-hand page, and then the eye travels across the top of the page, down the left side, and back right across the bottom in a sideways U shape. So you can use this information to place your best-selling products in the hottest spot on the page and on the top half. And once again, strive for balance between what the sales data recommends and creating a shopping experience that's well organized and easy to process. Cut up your past season's catalog and assemble mock-ups of each page to help you visualize what the finished page will look like. This will likely require a large conference table, but the result will be well worth it. Let's move on to covers. The importance of choosing the right products for the covers can't be understated. You have seconds to catch the catalog customer's attention, and if you can't catch them with a great cover, the conversation ends there. Which is why we recommend choosing proven winners. For a front cover, choose a best-selling product from a best-selling category. You can adjust tactics from prospect to buyers based on the different goals. For prospects, choose products with a high unit sales because it speaks to the broadest appeal. And once we've converted that prospect to a customer, choose items based on strong sales and a high contribution. Back covers are as important as front covers. Use your back covers to show the breadth of the product selection by showing various categories at varying price points. Make every decision based around the principle of give them more of what they're looking for. Start from broad decisions and narrow as you move through the process. Begin with bigger decisions like page count, then identify themes, organize categories, and then organize your pages. Use square inch analysis and sales data as a framework, but continuously ask, does this make sense? Follow these steps and you'll be well on your way to creating a shopping experience that draws the user in, creates linger time, and is easy to shop. Thank you for attending this session. I hope you learned something about catalog pagination. If you have any questions, email me at the email address listed on the slide.